Hey guys, Shadow here, and I want to wish you all a happy new year. I know I'm a few days late to that, and I do apologize. I had some horrible luck since Christmas. I had a pretty fun property accident involving my parents' car. My phone decided to break in the middle of just watching a video on it. And since then, I haven't been able to transfer any of my photos, videos, or edited videos over to my new phone. That being said, new phone, good camera, lots of empty space for at least a little while until I figure out my photos. And yeah. Anyways, I want to wish you guys an amazing Happy New Year. Last year was not great for the channel. I don't know. I'm tired of telling you guys something and then just not really working as much towards it as I should be. So I'm not gonna say I'm working on something, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. Best not to speak and be thought of a fool than to prove that I am a fool. Now today, it's going to sound like a complaint video, really, unfortunately. That's what it sounds like, honestly. But hopefully this is educational for all of my peeps who want to get into the more prepping scene. The topic I'm going to briefly talk about is shooting. Now, shooting is very much a perishable skill. Shooting is also a very expensive hobby and something that is just very difficult to get into, especially in this day and age. Sorry, I'm merging here and no one apparently knows how to signal. Are you turning left? No, blinker would be nice. Sorry about that, folks. Now, I'm not a great shot, not by any means. I don't think I'm a horrible shot, but I'm definitely not great. And an opportunity came up to go to a range with my buddy. Now, I've never really done ranges. We always go out to the desert and set up a gong or just some paper, just shoot rocks and cans on the hill. Pardon me. I went once for a pistol training class in Salt Lake. It honestly wasn't very fun. They had us shooting at 25 yards, and it was one of the first times I'd ever shot my new pistol, little concealed carry, and it was brutal. And honestly, I've kind of had an aversion of going back there. But my buddy just got a scope for his gun, so he needed to go, put some rounds on paper, kind of get it zeroed in. And I figured it would be a great opportunity just to bring some fun guns. But, I did have my .6 sitting there and my 30-30, both of them in any sort of survival, prepping, or just straight up outdoor scenario are very capable firearms. 30-30 is one of the oldest cartridges in America. It is capable of taking down deer, antelope, elk. People have taken out black bear with it. People have taken out boar with it. But it's a mid-sized game rifle. 30-06 is bigger. Oh, excuse me. It's quite a bit more accurate. I wouldn't necessarily say it has more power, but it's definitely a more ranged rifle as a whole. There's plenty of people that have taken deer, elk, antelope, bear, both black bear and grizzly, or brown bear, depending on where you're from. Boar, people use it to, up in Alaska, hunt moose, caribou, big animals. And they're relatively common rounds, especially in North America. They're relatively cheap rounds. Even for the high-end stuff, you're only looking at 40 to 50 a box, which I know doesn't sound cheap, but you can get the low-end stuff for around 20, which is decent. Not great, but decent. Guns are common. Guns are They have a lot of accessories. I wouldn't say easy to modify. Oh, excuse me. I know there are things out there that you can modify. I myself have a Remington Model 783, I believe, in the 30.6, and a Marlin 3030. I don't know the model number offhand, but long story long, both of them are great rifles and very useful in an outdoor setting, first and foremost. In a prepper setting, second most. And back to my topic of we went to this range. Now, the youngest worker that we dealt with and that I saw at this range had to have been in his mid to late 50s. He was by far the youngest. What a lot of good old boys would call the people working there is, I said it and I forgot. I was trying to make a video earlier and it just wasn't flowing very well. Old heads, that's what it is. But even more than that, fuddy old heads. See, the problem is every single one of them, with the exception of the younger guy, was absolutely right. And what I mean by that is my 30-30 was shooting off a little today. I just could not get a good grouping, and the guy was not very politely informing me that I needed to get a better grouping, and it's like, well, I can't. I'm trying, and I just can't get one today. And he was not being very polite about it. And that was kind of frustrating, and it was frustrating me, and it was making me shoot worse, and then I just stopped with the 30-30. The problem came to be with the .6. Again, I don't mean for this to be a complaint video. This is more of a warning, but also go and train and practice and work on this. Now, for my entire life, my dad has only ever bore-sighted his guns, and he's been able to put down any deer that it comes across, Maybe a little overestimation there, but he's a good hunter. And when we tell people, I've had people straight up tell him, no, that's not possible. We had one guy that was bore sighting for us tell my dad that he's a liar because no one shoots that good with a bore sight. And I have a bit of my father's anger issues, but we get targeted at the 50 yard, and the guy comes down, and he had to be within such a big diamond, like a 4-inch by 4-inch diamond. And I was in, and then one of my shots, I really wasn't trying to get a good grouping, honestly, and now that's on me. One of my shots clipped the outer edge of the diamond, and he told me that was fine. And then right after we were all packed up, ready to go, no, I'm fine, redo it. Okay. So I'm already starting to get frustrated. I get the new grouping, and we move over to the 100 yard. And we get to the 100 yard, and I was asking about, well, is my 30-30 allowed on here? And I just said something like, I'd love to get my 30-30 out here. And the guy was like, no, you can't shoot it here. I'm going to simplify a lot here. It's too weak of a gun. It doesn't have the velocity required. Now, the stuff he was quoting was ancient knowledge 20 years ago. I mean, he was quoting ammo specifications and all this ancient knowledge about velocities that was, they haven't made the ammo he was talking about that I know of for at least 10 years. And I was kind of arguing, I was trying to be polite, but, he was like a 68-year-old guy, and it's like, the new ammo meets your required velocity by a large margin. They have to have a minimum of 2,400 velocity, foot per second, I believe it is. Is that? I think that's right. And I was just kind of arguing. I was like, well, the round nose stuff hits that velocity within H's. You need to use bolt action for a 30-30 in order to get there, and you need to use tipped rounds. And it's like, well, tipped rounds are pretty hard to come by. And to my knowledge, there's not a bolt action 30-30. I've got a revolving 30-30. Well, that's not a bolt action, but okay. And so he just kept arguing with me, and that was frustrating me, and it was getting late, and made us watch their little safety video, and we go out there, and, you know, we're still having a good time. And put our targets out at 100, and my buddy Cole, he was nailing them pretty good grouping. I was not. I was very low and to the left, and I started working my way up diagonally, but everyone could tell that I had the least marksmanship experience out there. So pretty soon, the nicer older gentleman that I actually enjoyed talking to, he came out, and he was just, I could tell he was trying to be helpful, but I was getting very frustrated. We can set up this block for you. It's like, no, I'm enjoying the way I'm shooting. Well, you're pretty low. Let's raise it up. It's like, no, I'm comfortable. And just, I was getting very frustrated. And I started to actually dip down further out of my target zone. And it's like, I was getting angry. I was frustrated. And I started to kind of get like towards a good grouping set, still off target, but a good grouping. And it's like, okay, all right, you know, we're getting there. So let's just, for fun, we're the last ones here. Let's throw it at 200. And at 200, it was ridiculous. I don't have a big money scope, and I could tell. And first shot slaps paper barely, and then it was just lower, and I started to have minor malfunctions with my gun. My magazine wouldn't feed properly. My bolt would not close, which is why you have to train. I really don't know what was causing my gun to act up. And I was getting frustrated. My shoulder's starting to get sore. Been shooting all day. And I clipped my finger on my bolt. And I didn't realize it, but I must have an ingrown nail or something. And it hurt awful. And it was right after that. I just dealt with a magazine, wasn't feeding right, and my bolt wasn't dropping, and I clapped that finger, and I shot, and I was bottom of paper, like a good foot below target, and I unloaded and put the gun down, and I was done, and I knew I was done, and I was just getting mad. The entire time, one of the other older guys there was just hounding me. Oh, bad shot. Why don't you get a good grouping and bring it in? And I got frustrated and wanted him to shoot, and he wouldn't. So he's like, well, this guy can shoot. And I was like, I'm not letting that random guy touch my gun. You know, you're a professional. I'll let you shoot. Long story long, the problem now is that my barrel started to get really hot. And I started adjusting, trying to, like, just get somewhere. I started just chasing target. And now I need to go hunting tomorrow with that gun. And there's a very good chance now, rather than low and to the left, which is where I was targeted, I could be very high to the right. I could be gone. I could just be gone. So, yeah. Long story long, very long. Train, guys. I do have another range day coming up, an actual range day, as well as a desert day. I'm going to spend most of that day at the 50-yarder with my 30-30. I'm going to spend probably a good full hour just working my 30-30 and maybe just some plankers, and I'll see what their rules are about setting up cameras. Because it's an indoor range, but it's fairly private booth, so it might be a fun little thing for you guys to see. Anyways, love you guys. Hope you have a wonderful year. Yeah, I'll let you guys get on with your partying. I have been streaming recently. I'll refresh my link on the page. I'll try and actually link over my videos to the YouTube page. They're about an hour long. I don't remember before. I know I've streamed and then linked it over before, but I don't remember if those videos actually stay in YouTube or if they erode after a while, so I'll have to see. Anyways, I've jabbered long enough. I'm cold. No, I'm not cold, actually. I'm tired. I'm hot. I'm hungry. And I still got chores to do. I spent 3 hours shooting at that range. Ooh, not a lot to show for it either. Anyways, I will see you guys next time. Peace.